Hello and welcome to the Winner Circle. I'm your host, Dr. Sean Hubbard. We're continuing the conversation on how you can keep winning and how I can keep winning and how we can keep winning together. Each week, we have a guest on the Winner Circle who cares a great deal about what's going on in our community and who has experience dealing with some of the concerns that we have. This week, we're joined by my friend and colleague, Dr. Aluakik Bhasin. Dr. Bhasin, welcome to the Winner Circle. It's great to have you in.
Well, great to be here. Thank you.
You know, I'm really concerned at this time because we're really having a difficult time talking together. I mean, people that we work with, people that we live with, our family members, we may have a disagreement, and then we go back and forth. We're not listening to each other. And a lot of the things that we're talking about are things that traditionally people try to avoid anyway. Mm-hmm. We're not avoiding those topics. We're talking about them, but we're not really talking to each other, not really exchanging. And I know that with your profession and your person, that you're very well disciplined in this regard. And so I wanted to get some insights and some tips and tricks on how we can do better and expand and even strengthen the bonds within our community. So I'm really happy to get you on in here to the Winner Circles. Thanks for coming.
Well, thank you.
Now, this past year, we've seen so many differing opinions, and they've come at such a rapid pace. And it really required us to exchange information and work really effectively together. And so our challenge is doing all that really is what triggered this conversation. Now, at some point, we had ideas that were coming from, let's say, an expert in infectious diseases, and some of those ideas were we should wear a mask. And then those were opposed by ideas that, well, maybe this infectious diseases expert created that virus. And maybe those masks, they actually make the virus worse, and they're worse off for our health. So you had these competing ideas, and they're not really there so much anymore. Now, mostly people agree that we should wear masks if they want to or not, or if they do or not, that's another thing. But they're not arguing against those so much. So the big question is, an open question, what's going on? Why are we doing this? Why are we creating these ideas?
I mean, it's an idea. Ideas are, a lot of time ideas pop up because you're, especially in this situation where it's suddenly this thing of the unknown. And we're all scared of it. It's scary and fearful. So you can say, yeah, fear generating your mind to, you're like overthinking. And you're like, okay, I need to find an answer to this. And once you have something concrete, you have some of that symbolization. And for example, you gave that example of Dr. Fauci. And they're like, oh, he's the one who, involved with creating the virus. So, now you've symbolized it. Now it's concrete. And you actually have this sense of relief that, oh, there's this virus, I can't see it. Maybe there's an answer to it somewhere, and it's created by here. And that, it feels better. You feel better about it. It's like you're not getting that phone call you're waiting for, and you're like, all these things you start thinking about. What could be happening? What could be happening? Why haven't I received this phone call? Or, I'm waiting for that interview. Why haven't I heard back from them? And you think of all these things. And so that's one aspect of it.
I think I hear what you're saying. So there's certain pain, if I understand you correctly, and this is kind of a clarifying question. There's a certain pain associated with not knowing, and then we generate our own answer as kind of a relief to that pain. And, like maybe if I'm waiting for a certain phone call, I'm anxious about it, about getting like a certain post or something. And then I might say, well, okay, they don't want me.
Right. Yeah.
Even though that's not necessarily,
Yeah.
We haven't gotten that information. We just haven't gotten the call that we want. Do I understand you correctly? Or
right. You're saying they don't want me, but then you're still thinking about now why they don't want me. You're still thinking about that, though. It hasn't stopped. So, but you still don't know the reality, the truth of it, because it hasn't objectified yet.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's something similar where, it's like these kind of theories coming up, and people having all, because of that fear, generating those innate responses, and now you're looking for an answer, And the moment you see something which is, concrete and close to you, you get a sigh of relief. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay. So that's part of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And thinking about this question, it occurred to me that I imagine a scenario where a person is running out of a building and telling people, don't go in there because it's on fire. And the people on the outside, if they don't see smoke and if they don't see fire, then they might start saying, what's the motive here? Why are they
Right.
trying to keep me from going in that building?
Exactly.
And until we start to see people maybe coming out coughing or something, we might start to really question. I mean, we have to fill it in with our own experience, I suppose.
Yes. And what in that situation, a lot of times initially you'll see that one person runs and 10 more people run with them until 5 minutes later they stop and be like, wait, what's going on again?
Why are we running?
Why are we running? And then you look back and then you start thinking more and more or try to understand everything, like get more facts and understanding. So it's almost like first there's so much personalization and fear and emotions going on wild and you run for the hills.
Sure.
And then you slowly, once you're tired and thinking goes down and you can see it from afar. Yeah.
Interesting. So now, another question I was asking is, we've seen more of this, it seems, over the past year. Now, we've had a lot going on over the past year. Of course, we've had the pandemic, but we've also had a huge election going on, and we've had all sorts of things, trauma in our streets, things to talk about, things to be dissatisfied about and talk about, really, and a host of ideas associated with each one of those. And so it sounds like when we have a lot of drama, I mean, it seems like we have a lot of factors that are going on to create or set the stage for us to create many of these ideas. What would you think are the factors that set up this?
The ideas? Well, one, like we discussed, it's like one biggest thing for the ideas to generate is the fear. And then it keeps going on and on and on. And then there's so many aspects to it that are happening, such as, you have, for example, we're talking.
Yes.
And I say one thing and I'm like, oh, the masks, they're causing, that I say, oh, masks are not good for you. And you say, masks are good for me. And then we keep arguing back and forth. And like you said earlier, are we really discussing this, or are we talking at each other, or are we getting angry with each other? And why does that keep happening now? Is because I want to prove I'm right.
Right.
But the thing is, it's like while we're trying to prove we're right and wrong, what is our main goal?
Sure.
Right. And does that make sense?
Yeah, I think if I interpret it correctly, so we mentioned that fear and anxiety is one factor. And then if I hear you correctly, another factor is competition.
Competition, yes.
Perhaps. It can be between individuals, it can be between different factions of, let's say, a government or,
Yes.
race, religion. I mean, there's so many factions to talk about. But competition, anxiety, so those are factors that make us create many of the ideas, maybe certain groups that we identify with, perhaps.
Exactly. Like, what are your psychosocial aspects associated with it? Yeah. As in, simple as a parent saying to their child, hey, wear the jacket. It's cold outside. And the kid saying, no, I don't want to wear it. It's like, you don't know how it's like in school. And
Right.
those two things there, it's that disconnect, They both don't know each other's experiences, where they're coming from.
Right.
Yeah. But what one person wants is safety from, feeling cold, and the other person wants safety from their fashion in school, where they get, I guess, bullied or something if they're not looking cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's really helpful what you're saying there. There are two factors that I hear in what you're saying, because there's a parental or a power dynamic
Power.
going on, or perceived power even.
Yes.
And then another is a different experience. The kids are experiencing what it's like to be with their friends in their fashion, and the parents are looking at the 7-day forecast.
Right, exactly.
And also they're remembering what it's like to take care of that kid when they can't clean their nose, and now they're sick. It's going to be their problem.
Yeah.
So varied experiences. Wow, that's a lot of factors actually when you think about it.
It really is, yeah.
And that could set the stage for people to not really be inclined to have the same opinion.
Correct.
I wonder if sometimes we think that we should be having the same opinion anyway, and many of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing is because we have this end goal of, I have to change this person's mind.
Correct, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want you to believe into what I believe in, and you're kind of like forcing that, because if suddenly they don't believe in that aspect, I mean, just imagine all your beliefs that are structured around this thing are going to be shattered if somehow you're wrong.
Right.
And it's like thinking that, oh, what you call is that the earth spins in a circle around, and suddenly being told that, no, it's actually, some other sort of elliptical motion that it goes through, and you're like, what? So, but you'll do anything to prove your point. Yeah, because that's what all of your experiences have led you to believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so this is really important, and I think it can go underappreciated. Let's say if I like the color, orange or something like that, and if I'm telling you orange is my favorite color, I really like it, and then you say orange sucks, then I might not interpret that as you talking about the color orange, but if I identify with orange, I take that as you saying that I suck.
Yeah.
And I take it personally.
Exactly, you take it personally. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, there's so many different opportunities and reasons to have discourse,
Right.
really, when we think about it.
Yeah, but in this situation, it goes a step further, because now it's once again, it's like we said, the whole discord between, or you can say the parent not getting along with the child, or two friends arguing about that the mask, the mask is harmful to you, and the other person says it's fine, and then it's like they're not talking to each other and getting more and more upset and angry with each other. But why is it that, okay, just because you are not willing to believe in my facts and everything, that because of that, we're not going to talk to each other? Why does it have to be that way, though?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And part of that has to do with because first, you want the other person to believe in you, and otherwise your whole idea of life and everything will be, going wrong. And then there's the whole thing of, I am right and you're wrong. And then also that, okay, is there an agenda behind this? What's that other thing of, and some people don't even realize that, you're doing things in one certain way.
Right.
And according to you, you've been told that, oh, drinking a cup of coffee in the morning is great for you. And you do that every morning. But another group of people might be like, oh no, that's a terrible thing to do.
Right.
So, but that whole idea might have been made up by somebody
Sure.
in an extremely theoretical case,
Right.
whose agenda was to sell coffee and make money for themselves and not care about your health.
Right. Right.
But you go through life thinking that that coffee is good for you.
Right. Right.
So, so that's your reality.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. You bring up some really important points. I mean, just this whole idea that we have agendas going on, and even agendas that we think may be going on. So that can set up some anxiety. But also, there might be a change in how we're going to allocate resources,
Right,
and how we're
right.
going to ask people to live and do things differently. So this can be really tricky. I want to touch more on that. I think we'll take a break.
Okay.
And I really want to follow up on that, because we're really exposing some of the angst, some of the potential fuel for the fires that are going on. So we'll come back. I'll
Good.
follow up on that, and we'll ask you the big question. Okay, guys. See you after this break.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Boardwalks built for fun. Legendary rock and roll clubs.
This is how we do it. Hip hip hop.
Casinos by the ocean.
Hip hip hop.
Now that's New Jersey. 130 miles of beautiful beaches. Solid rock. And everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey. Plan your New Jersey trip at visitnj.org. Waves of fun. Nights of excitement. And a trail of memories. Now that's New Jersey.
Welcome back to the Winner's Circle. I'm your host, Dr. Sean Hubbard, and we're having a wonderful discussion with our colleague, Dr. Aluakik Bhasin. We were really just having a great discussion about some of the challenges that can happen in our home environment, in our work environment, people that we live with, people that we work with, friends, when we really don't understand each other. And let's face it, we generally want to do well. You want to be healthy, I want to be healthy. We can be healthy if we understand each other, and especially if we can share ideas. But when we get to the point that, let's say, I feel like I have to be right, or I feel like if you're right, I'm wrong, then it seems like that is just a challenging circumstance for us to be able to feel good and have a discussion. So how do you recommend we deal with this issue?
One biggest thing would be, all right, if we're about to start having a discussion about one of these things, okay, what is the essence of it? The basic fact-based reason why we're even engaging. And if we can get that point ahead out first, rather than saying, okay, this is the right way, then, both of us feel better about it. Because one big fight is, it's right for me to wear this, and the other person, it's wrong for me. But if instead we say, hey, we're sitting here today because we want to discuss what's, our agenda is safety.
Right.
And we both care about each other, and that's why we're talking about this.
Right.
So let's see how we can do this, what are the facts out there? And let's jot them down one at a time. Rather than, okay, I think we should do this, you think we should do this, and then it becomes, I'm right, you're wrong, and now we're not just playing with what's safe, now it's in essence, and then you've added all these other factors on top, and it's like, then you're just going to be upset with each other.
You're right. You're reminding me of sometimes when we've gone on a nice big family vacation. And we get where we're going, this great place, and the kids want to go maybe to a museum over here, and then some of the other kids may want to go to a park or jump in the pool, and sooner or later, we end up having to say, we came on a vacation to have a good time, But we lose that when we start arguing about these things sometimes. So I think that's a very good strategy to remind ourselves, what is the goal? What is the mission? We all want to be safe and healthy.
Exactly.
Who doesn't want to be safe and healthy?
Yeah, and same thing with why is it that you go on a vacation, like you said, and then you're upset, and then you come back from the vacation and you say, I need another vacation from this vacation.
Exactly.
It's, first you're like, you planned the vacation, and now in your mind you have, okay, vacation has to be, I get there at 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. we're gonna eat here, and then we're gonna visit this museum. And if something does not go according to that, you get upset.
Oh dear.
And now the vacation is ruined.
Wow. Yes.
Mainly because you had this image in your mind,
Yes.
which you were like, oh, the sun is gonna rise this way, and it's gonna be so beautiful here, it's not gonna rain. And just because it rained and all those things, you're upset because it did not go according to how you imagined it.
Right.
Right.
Got
So,
it.
but in reality, that was just imagination and thoughts.
Sure.
But you have no control over it. Nobody does.
Right.
Yeah.
And we might have an idea, let's say, that things were great when they were the way we imagined and the way that we wanted them, and we got used to them, and the way they're going and or the way they are right now, it's not great now. So we want to go back and make it great again. Is that we've heard that sort of language used before.
Exactly. And that's, again, it's like you have this ideal.
Right.
Now you're comparing that present moment with
Yes.
that ideal that you've created. So if it does not match up, then you're upset. But what you felt in that ideal moment, thing is, who was feeling that emotion? Who was happy or who was sad when you watch a movie and it's this really awesome scene and you love it and you're like, oh my God, that movie is amazing. It's like, who felt it? You did.
Yes.
Right? And later on, when the movie ends, if you think about that scene, you can still feel it.
Yes.
Yeah. If you think about those old moments, you can still feel it.
Yes.
So that means that just because now you're wanting in this present situation for those things to be there present. So when they're not, you're upset. But otherwise, those feelings are always there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's not that, they're cut off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's an interesting technique, and probably one that requires some skills to be able to bring those feelings back associated with times and ideas and situations that made us happy. But now we have maybe perhaps different times, different things being offered by different people.
Yes.
And we feel the competition building up, and I can see where a person would get anxious. I want to get some tips from you, and this is the big question really. We want to have a society where, and I don't want to put this on you because you may not agree with this, but it would be wonderful if we have a society where people don't feel that they're disenfranchised, that they're not heard, that people don't want them, that people don't want their ideas. And so it would be wonderful if we can get some tips, some approaches that help us to keep the engagement, keep the conversation going, so that we can all appreciate more health. And so I wanted to see what we could learn from you in this regard. Do you have any tips on this regard?
Well, one main thing is, all right, is both being, like we said, being on the same page about that we're here together for that one shared goal and purpose. And then, okay, if we don't, what our ideas are, just because we do not agree or disagree does not make I'm right and you're wrong. And those kind of judgment statements. Because the moment we start having those judgment, I'm right, you're wrong, my way is better, your way is wrong.
Right.
But then that's when you have that discord and you start feeling small.
Yes.
If you say, oh, I gotta take this route to work, and somebody, your neighbor says, oh no, that route is terrible. I can't believe you never knew that, and take the other route. I mean, suddenly you're like, what? I've been doing that almost, how can you say that, But in reality, who said? You've never been on that route in all those years that you're saying, so you don't know. Yeah, that's just your thinking.
Sure.
Yeah. So same way, the moment you've given that judgment is when either we have to keep in our mind that, all right, it's okay. That's what they're saying from their experience. Just bringing back to that mask example.
Yes, yes.
If, somebody, like I might be saying, oh, the mask is great. And then somebody else in front of me says, no, mask is not good. It's bad for you. And you guys keep fighting and you have no idea why this is going on. And later on, after a year or two, you find out, oh, they were upset about that because they had this cousin or aunt who had this terminal lung cancer. And, they were told to constantly wear a mask and it didn't work out well for them. So, now your experience in the present moment is constantly being compared to that event.
I see.
Yeah. So, but your dialogue, the other person also doesn't know that. Yeah.
Okay. So, if I understand you correctly, then judgment and us being judgmental about each other certainly is not helping the situation.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we should be doing that's opposite of judgment, perhaps? Like something that the minute I get ready to say, oh, you're wrong, that it might trigger in myself to don't do that. Maybe I could do something else. Should I ask a person why they feel the way they feel? Should what do you think? Is there a way, should I be affirming the way they feel?
You can ask them further about, hey, tell me more about why you're feeling this way. Okay, if somebody says, oh yeah, the mask is not a good thing for you to wear, tell me more. Because the moment, if you ask them to tell you more, you don't know what they might say next, and even they might say something that they haven't thought about before. Just like right now, I'm saying a lot of things which I had not thought about before.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, similarly.
Excellent.
Yeah, because, the more you talk about things,
Right.
Otherwise you're just talking in your own mind, to yourself.
Right.
And you have one voice saying, oh, that's not right, and the other voice saying, wait, you shouldn't do that. That's not the right way. And you're also judging yourself nonstop.
Right.
Yeah. So.
That's very effective. I like that because it does increase the engagement when we ask more questions. Why do you feel the way you feel about this particular issue? And then it also asks that person to explain to themselves openly why they feel the way they feel in a non-judgmental way.
Exactly.
And when they start to describe it, maybe they can examine it also at the same time, and we can examine it together and figure out what is the more safest approach, what is the safest approach. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and you're no longer, it's like when I ask you, it's like in that way, I'm no longer judging you either.
Yes.
And you feel validated by just, okay, it's not that they agree or disagree. You're not even saying that you agree or disagree. You're just asking more questions.
Sure.
Yeah. And the other person is like still engaged and you're still talking and it keeps on going further.
I think what you're striking up on is a huge issue in that we really want to keep people engaged.
Right. Yeah.
And honestly engaged and authentically engaged. We're not talking about how to play tricks on each other, but
Yes.
perhaps we move what we call success from oh, I have to change your mind, to success is us being engaged in having a dialogue, perhaps. And then that moves us further to healing our society and our community. That's wonderful, Dr. Bhasin. I really appreciate the insight that you've offered here to me, as well as those in the Winter Circle community. I hope you'll come back and we can talk further about these and some other topics that help us to get healthy as we move forward.
I'd love to.
Great. I really hope you enjoyed this message to you and the Winter Circle community as we talk about some of the things that everybody really wants. How do we do well? How do we achieve health? How do we achieve it as individuals, as families in our community, and as a community at large? We all generally want to do that. And it does help if we can exchange ideas with one another. I think that'll be great for all of us. We look forward to seeing you right here next week, 2 o'clock Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RVN TV. And then we'll be posting this, and please share this message, as we really intended for it to be one of those therapeutic approaches to bringing our society and our community and our world together. Until we meet again, guys, keep winning. Take care.